Okay, everybody, welcome back. I said I wasn't going to do a paint video, but I'm going to decide I'm going to do one anyway on this particular gun. This is the stealth gun. It's called Palmetto stealth gun. It's kind of just like a misnomer. I will paint it. Won't be so stealthy, but you won't be able to see the paint unless you throw a fluorescent light on it, blue light, violet, UV light. You'll be able to see it light up, but otherwise it'd just be flat. But I gotta go ahead and paint it because I kind of think it's cool. This is the Palmetto State Armory gun. This is just a plain, basic, no nonsense stripped lower, and we're going to paint this baby up. And I've decided I'm just going to use two colors with this. Keep it very basic. The fluorescent orange, which is actually flat, and the fluorescent green, which when we put it on this matte black flat background, it turns the paint very flat. It just, you wouldn't even see it unless you really looked at it, or like I said, put a UV light on it. And where is it? Ah, here it is. And if you want to see an example of that, there it is. Excuse me. There's the paint. Put a UV light on it, it glows. Boom. Otherwise it's very flat. Anyway, we're going to start out here in just a second. So, okay, the first thing you have to do when you're going to do this, you have to make sure that this surface is really clean. I've already cleaned this off with 91% alcohol. Use alcohol that's either denatured alcohol or 91%, something that has no oil in it, very little oil in it, but it's mostly alcohol. The 91% is what I get. If I can get that, I get that. Denatured I'd rather have for cleaning purposes. But use that, get it good and clean. Now what you're going to do, what I'm going to do, is I use a toothpick as a paintbrush. Whoops, there it is. Good old toothpick as a painting brush. I don't know if it's going to focus on that, but just an ordinary toothbrush, toothpick, excuse me. We're going to use a toothpick as a paintbrush. Now, basically what we're going to do is we're just going to fill in these lines that are already engraved in the finish. And as I said on this one, I'm just going to use two colors. The others I've used other different colors. This is just going to be two basics. And I'm going to try to zoom in and show you what I'm doing as I'm doing it. Basically, you're just going to take the toothpick and you're just going to follow the lines with it with little drops of paint. And you're going to fill in all these things. So let me see if we can zoom it in here on the surface we're going to work on. Get her even closer. And as you can see, there's a lot of, pretty heavy engraving in here. So what I thought about doing was maybe making this multiple colors here. But what my experience has been is when you try to do multiple colors in an area like this, you better do it in like one area like this, and then try to keep it way away, any other colors way away from it, because when you start to go to clean it, they will blend. the colors will tend to blend over into each other, and you don't want that. So what I try to do is do like one color if I can, and only, you know, just, you know, try to keep it to one color as much as possible in one particular area. So what I think I'm going to do here is I'm going to do this, and I'm going to try to do this in the orange, and this in the green, and then the Palmetto in the orange, the rest of the cannons and the other lettering here in the orange. So we're going to try that. We're going to see how that works. So here we go. We'll start out with the orange paint, and we'll do the cannonballs. We're going to try to do them in orange. We'll see how it works out. It may not work, but we'll try it. As I said, this is fluorescent orange. And I have already painted. We just finished building the nutcracker. That video will be coming out shortly. The nutcracker build. I'm going to try to do a more detailed close-up build on this one. I'm still learning how to do this. But anyway, take a little bit of the paint, put it on the end of your toothpick, and you carefully go around the outline of what you want to paint. If you have trouble seeing, it helps to have glasses on. Especially ones that are clean. These look like never mind. It'll be not crude. There we go. I can see a whole lot better. And then you just take your paint and just, as you can see, dab it in here. Fill in those lines. Because that's all you're doing, is you're just filling in the lines themselves. It's like paint by number. Fill in the lines. Except you're painting in between the lines, you're actually painting the lines themselves. See, now when I come over here to the cannon, I'll have to stop, because that's going to be green under that. Get too much on there. Just tracing the lines. We're trying to. So you have to stop right there. Be careful not to go too much over into the next area you're going to run paint into. But still fill in that area as much as possible. I think that's a complete cannonball under there, so I'm going to fill that all the way in. And what supposedly will happen is when we wipe the excess off, we will have just the lines filled in, and it'll be black in between. What we'll do now is we're going to go down here to the Palmetto. try to fill that in. You can see what I'm doing here. Very carefully filling in those letters. Trick is not to get too much paint on the tip of your toothpick here, and not get too much to just run over into everything. You don't want that. Palmetto steak. I never realized that North Carolina was called the Palmetto steak. Usually when you think of palmettos, you think of Florida. You know, you think Florida would be called the Palmetto steak. They got so many of them. And you have the Palmetto State Army here. There's a bunch of small print down here on the bottom. Let's see what that is. Can't even read that. Oh yes, the State Armory part. Yeah, I think I can fill that in too. Yeah. I believe I can do that. Oh yeah. I see one part that I need to do. Real tricky little part here. I'm going to use a magnifying glass to get on it because it's actually hard to see. Let's see. Get it on the tip just right. There we go. It does help to use a magnifying glass, believe it or not, for some of these small tiny parts. And that's what I'm going to do here on the State Armory part. And I'm just going to kind of brush fill that in because it's so tiny. And the rest of it will be in the fluorescent green. Wow, that's a lot of paint. Too much. Yeah, it's coming in, isn't it? Yep. Y'all are seeing it. Yep, and almost too much. Almost too much. It's kind of a trick and an art to this, really is, just like any other painting. Especially trying to do it with a blooming toothpick. But it, believe it or not, does work. And the first time I saw it done, I was like, that just can't be real. Oh yeah, it works. It really works. Now, I'll do the other thing here. Now, let's see, PA15 multi. Should that be in orange or should that be in the green? I think it should be in the green. Because we're going to do the Palmetto State Armory over here on the other part. on the other part of the gun and the fire. We're going to do all the orange, all paint colors at once. So we're going to kind of slide this over here. And there's a Palmetto State Armory. West Columbia, South Carolina, excuse me, is called the Palmetto State. So what I do on this normally is I'll take and I'll fill in the letters of Palmetto State here as the orange, and we'll do the Palmetto State, the Columbia, West Columbia in green. How does that sound? And as you see here, what I'm doing is I'm just smearing it all the way across, because you really want to fill these lines up. You get these are really deep cuts in here. They really are. You really want to fill them. I may have to go back and do those first cannonballs, in fact, because they look like they weren't deep enough. But as you can see right here, see how it starts to pop out as it dries. And it will. Really makes that lettering stand out. I think it adds a little character to the gun, really. That's just me. Some people don't like it. But you don't have to buy what you don't like. Ain't nobody holding a gun to your heads, as far as I know. Nobody held a gun to my head and said, "Hey, go out there and build these guns, you dummy, and do it this way." No, I just decided I'm going to do it this way. Go over here and do the fire. Safe will be, of course, will be green, and fire will be fluorescent orange. I think we'll go back over here by the cannonballs and put a little more on there. I'm just saying. Just might put a little more on there. On the old cannonballs. Is that in focus there? Let's see. I guess it's in pretty good focus. I don't know. But I want these cannonballs to stick out here, so we'll kind of run a little more paint around them. You know, you want your balls to stick out. All right. Get a little more libation here. All this talking tends to dry you out. Cleaning cloths here. Put your lid back on your paint. This paint has been thinned out. One of the things I do recommend, if you're going to use, I'm using testers. It's regular old testers. Model paint. Whoops, upside down. Same kind of paint you use for painting models. And it's, you know, they're enamel, of course. But this stuff is really thick when it comes out. So there's a little thing to get the kits that come with thinner on it. I would advise to get some paint thinner, you know, on the side if you're going to use this, because this stuff thickens up really quick. And once it does, it's like really like pouring glue. So it helps to keep it thinned down. And it goes further too, of course, and it makes it easier to smear on. One of the things I learned when I was painting models as a kid was thinning the paints out, make it work smoother. Doing it in layers. That's where you first learn how to paint cars. Painting models. So, yeah, everything else we're going to do now will be in the green. Let's see, can I do the other side real quick? Oh yeah, I could do the other side, the fire side here on this side. Because they're not going to touch. It is recessed over here on this side, so we'll go ahead and do this side here while we're at it. I think can we see that on the camera? We might want to put it in the camera, right? Maybe. Yeah, that'd be nice. Oops, there we go. There's my fire. So we're going to put some fire on the fire here with the fluorescent orange. And this will definitely stand out now. And like I said, it does help to thin this stuff out, because it is really thick in the bottle. It makes it much easier to handle trying to smear this around. It's really thin. And I do mean good thin. I mean not just a little bit. Never hurts to thin the paint out, because it will. You can always add more. Pain in the butt to take it off after you put too much on. Yeah, start all over. It's much easier just to go in small layers. Or thin it down really good. So if you need to add more, you add more. But as you can see right here, there's enough right there. Looks like, oh, that looks like a big old blob, doesn't it? Well, when I clean it off, if I hold it up, you can probably see it a little better. No, it's still a little blurred out. Yeah, just look all blurry like that right on the camera, and you see the fire a little bit there. There you go. You can see it. I'll flip this back over. And this is probably dried now to where you can really see. You can really see the paint on it. See where it says fire here? It's drying down. You can start now to see it. Once it dries down, we'll let that dry down. And when it does, we'll be back to clean it off. Okay, we're back. Time to clean our parts. What we're going to do here, I've done several different ways. I've used Q-tips. I've used gun cleaning patches. Regular gun cleaning patches. Let me zoom that back here a little bit. Regular gun cleaning patches. What we will remove the paint with is good old nitro solvent, the clear stuff. Let's see if I got the right one here. Yep, it's been opened. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to take off the the layer of the paint that's not down in the grooves, if you can believe that. And this stuff does remove the paint very well. I was First time I did it, I was like, oh, that stuff works pretty good. So, because it's kind of an oil and a solvent at the same time. It's kind of odd. You can see there's a little extra paint there I'm going to have to remove. Got down in there, and it wasn't supposed to be down in there, but this stuff takes it out pretty good. It removes. See, now I removed too much right there. I'm going to have to go back over that. Oh yeah, it wasn't dry enough. So we're going to have to go back and do that all over again. I didn't let it dry long enough. That's no problem. This stuff leaves very little residual. And what you do is just go back and wipe it off. Now as you can see, there's still some in here, but I didn't let it dry long enough, so I'm going to let it dry. Because I laid that on pretty thick, actually. So we're going to let that dry down a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and redo those places that need to be done. And we're going to let them dry. So we're going to get to see them paint again. This is what happens. You get in a big hurry. Yeah, we're learning here, right? So let me get my photo enhancers back on. I can get my drink. We must have libation. All this talking in this air conditioning dries you out. Believe it or not, you get really dried out really quick. Let me shake that up again. Make sure that's nice and shook up. Again, it's the fluorescent orange. God, excuse me. That was gross. Okay. Let's see if we can zoom back down on it. Whoops, other way. Thing zooms up pretty good, don't it? So we'll get it down on here. We're going to repaint our cannonballs. Whoops. Got some excess stuff on the tip here. Got to make sure you don't get any, even lose a little bit of fiber on the tip here like that right there. Any kind of fibers. Yeah, it will act like a paintbrush. Here we go, we're going to do them again. There's a little piece of fiber right there. Sometimes you just have to let it blow right off the tip of the, right off the tip. Now see, some of the orange went down in this piece right here, which I didn't want it to do, but it did. So I'll have to come back and go over those when it dries good and get that out. Alright, let's go back over the lettering again. I should have let that dry more. Keeping your paint under control is kind of tough on these little bitty places like these letters. There it is. And then I got the little tiny letters right here on the bottom. Which again, kind of need the magnifying glass to do that. Now we'll let those dry really good, and the rest of them, probably overnight. Make sure they're good and dry. I forgot I thinned this stuff out, so it does not want to dry as fast. And when you thin it out, that's one of the things about it. It takes a little longer to dry. In this case, I'm going to let it dry out overnight because I really want that paint to get set up hard. The solvent really does take the stuff off, but if it's not really good and dried in there, it tends to loosen up the stuff, particularly like when you see on the cannonballs there. You see where it's got, over into the things. Well, when you go in there and try to clean that off, you end up, taking that paint in the center and areas off. So it's kind of easy. It's kind of sketchy doing that. So that's why I really like using the Q-tips instead. Q-tips work a lot better for me. So that's what we'll do next when we go to dry it off. But for now, she's painted up. Like I said, the other parts of the cannon will be the green. I guess I could go ahead and do the letters right now in the green because they're completely separate, but let's go ahead and give that a shot. Let's see what that looks like. This green is really a dark green. It says fluorescent, but when it goes on this matte black, it's a dark. Really dark. Let's see where we are here in the camera. Push this. There we go. We're not going to do the serial numbers. I'm not going to highlight the serial numbers. I don't particularly like doing that for obvious reasons. The bigger letters are much easier to do because they tend to suck the paint down better. There we go. The grain's flowing really well on these bigger letters. As you can see, it tends to flow a whole lot better. See, when I stick the tip down there, it just flows right off the tip. Real easy. Much easier than the other letters in this other. But that's what you do. Just take your toothpick, gently trace around those letters. You're going to have a little bit of overflow, but that's okay. You want to try to maintain that as low as possible. Keep that overflow as little as possible, but still fill in the letters. Because the paint will tend to dry down into the letters. That's one of the reasons why I thinned it out, is to make it flow, but also when it thins down, it dries down in there. You see, I have a little bit of overflow here that's going to go. I'm going to clean off. So I'm going to try to push it over into as much of it into the letters. There you can see. See, I've got that little bit of overflow here between them. You can plainly see it in the camera. But that will come off pretty darn easy when once she dries down in there. Let me go ahead and do the safe on this side. Let's move the camera over just a bit. Ta-da! There it is. Safe. Okay. Amazing how dried out you get. Anyhow, let's get back here. Let's get the safe done here. Be all safe here. I don't know if I showed y'all what we're doing. Well, I'm just taking the toothpick and sticking it down in the paint, and I kind of just, I don't know if you see, but yeah, just dip it down in there and right across them letters. Get them good and saturated, but not too much. You don't want to go too far. You can see now why I use a toothpick, because just putting on little tiny bits of paint. You really are. Just little tiny bits. You just use the toothpick to trace out the letters, kind of guide the paint. Inside the letters. It's a little bit of an art that takes a little bit of getting used to. I'm going to leave the other part here for later as it dries, because it's too close to the other letters. But we'll flip it over and do the other side. Where it says safe. You can see the fire on the other side, it's already done. It looks like there's too much paint over it, but believe it or not, it won't be when I go to clean it off. It'll be just right. And the letters will be full of paint. Guaranteed. Come on. There you go. Like I said, remember, all you're doing is guiding the paint in this channel, which is the engraved letters, because that's what they are. They're actually engraved in the metal, and quite deeply too. Them CNC machines really do a good job, don't they? And that's what this was cut with. This was a billet cut CNC billet. This is not a forging. All of these are billets, which means they're cut from solid pieces of aluminum and not forged. All of these are that way. The ones I use. They're not forgings. The Trump gun is using the Crusader, Spike's Tactical Rare Breed Crusader, which I haven't mentioned yet, but that will be the upper and lower from it, which is actually used. The Donald Trump gun is a Rare Breed Crusader distress model. Mine is going to be Cerakoted. It'll be all Cerakoted gold to match the rest of the hardware. And there's the safe on that side. And we'll flip it over here to dry. And as soon as that dries, which will probably be tomorrow, we'll get back in here. Oops. Put it back over here. Really just need to move the camera, don't I? When I got it zoomed out, let's just zoom it back out so we'll see the whole thing here. I think that'll be better. Yeah, there's the whole piece. All painted up. Whoops. I do gotta get a smoother tripod. This one's okay, but it's really not for, I guess, in studio use, because it's pretty, it's not smooth on the elevation for some reason. It's really smooth on the axis this way, but elevation, azimuth that is, I should say. On the azimuth it's really smooth, but the elevation it's kind of jerky. It's not very smooth. That might be something I can adjust. I haven't figured it out yet. But anyway, let's talk about this. Let's get this done. This is going to be gun number 2. I have built, well, let's see, this will make 5 guns so far. I built one which I kept for myself, which is a Crusader. The original Spikes Crusader. I have that one. Another gun that I sold, which was the Southern Rattler, which was another AR-15 I built and sold. Really cool gun. Had a coil Spikes Tactical Don't Tread on Me lower on it. Really cool. I would like to find some more of those. Can't find them now though. Wow, I could build 10 of those guns and sell them like quick. But yeah, the Don't Tread on Me, that was a special gun, the Southern Rattler. The Nutcracker's coming out here shortly. This will be the stealth gun, the Palmetto State Armory. The other is Palmetto State Armory. I use Spikes Tactical, Palmetto State Armory right now because they have some of the cool, I like to use the cool lowers. They're theme type lowers, I guess you would call them. I really kind of like, this is the first one that's just a strip lower, just ordinary old strip lower. Most all the other ones I've built would come with some kind of theme, like the Crusader, the Don't Tread on Me. It's called the Gadsden flag, yeah, symbol on one of them, which is the coil rattlesnake. Really cool. The way I had it painted up. But anyway, that's in one of the videos. But shortly, we will be coming out with this gun. We'll be finishing this one. And these will be for sale. And I will be putting, when I get the promotional videos on them, they'll be where they'll be for sale at. So anyway, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment on the videos, whatever you do. I will not monetize my videos. I will not give any money to YouTube. I will also be on Rumble and Twitch. Thank you for watching.
Like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, or Antifa and BLM will come to visit you. Promise.